The skies over Velsari Prime were calm and shining blue. Floating islands drifted in the clouds, carrying cities filled with crystal towers and glowing plants. For centuries, the Velsari people had lived in peace, sharing knowledge and beauty with other races in the Galactic Harmony Council, but today, their world felt heavy. Inside the Grand Hall of Unity, leaders from 12 advanced alien races sat in a wide circle. Holograms of destroyed planets floated in the air. Once living worlds now looked like blackened stones drifting in space. "We have lost contact with 5 colonies in less than 2 weeks," said Ellerin, the High Speaker of Velsari. Her voice was calm, but her glowing eyes were full of sorrow. There were no distress signals, no signs of survivors. Only silence. A soft gasp spread through the room. "The same has happened to our outposts," added Drellner, a thick-scaled warrior from the planet Kothar. "No enemies seen. No wreckage left behind. Entire moons, ... erased. What kind of power can do?" "This," whispered a small creature from the Shentor race, its feathers trembling. No one answered. The Harmony Council had always believed that diplomacy, not weapons, was the answer to peace. For thousands of years, that belief had worked. Now, it was failing. Ellerin raised her hand. "Dasik. I propose we send out a distress signal. A deep-range cry for help. We ask the unknown. For hope." There was silence, then slow nods from the council. Together, they activated the Galactic Core Beacon, a massive device hidden beneath Velsari's oceans. For the first time in over 700 years, it lit up, sending a clear message across the stars to any who can hear us. "We are under threat from an unknown force. Entire worlds are vanishing. We are peaceful. We need help. Please, if you can hear us, respond." The message repeated again and again, bouncing through wormholes, riding waves of light toward distant galaxies. Days passed, no one answered. Until suddenly, one word appeared in the transmission feed. Just one line of simple text. "We heard you." Room froze. "Who sent that?" asked Drellner. "There's no signature," said the technician. "No ship, no coordinates, just ... This message." Ellerin frowned. "Could it be a trap or a joke?" asked another. But before anyone could respond, the skies above Velsari changed. A strange vessel appeared in high orbit. It didn't arrive through a jump gate, didn't show up on any long-range sensors. It was simply there, massive, silent black ship shaped like a blade. It had no windows, no lights, no banners. The Velsari Defense Fleet scrambled jets to investigate, but every attempt to scan the vessel failed. Then, without warning, 12 small crafts exited the ship. They moved silently, leaving no heat trails. Within minutes, they entered Velsari's atmosphere and landed outside the capital city. The Harmony Council watched in fear. "Prepare the guards," said Drellner. "We don't know if they are friendly." Before the order could be completed, tall figures began walking through the misty landing zone. They were covered in dark armor that changed color with their surroundings. Their helmets were smooth and glowing with faint red dot size. Perhaps one stepped forward and removed their helmet. A woman with light brown skin and short black hair looked calmly at the crowd. Her eyes were cold, yet not unkind. "I am Commander Alina Voss," she said, her voice firm. "We heard your signal. We are here to help." The aliens looked at each other in confusion. This was not what they expected. "You're... who?" Ellerin asked, stepping forward slowly. "Yes." The name sent a quiet wave through the crowd. The Deathworlders. The lost race from the planet Eartha world said to be so dangerous that it created creatures who could survive anywhere, fight anything, and never back down. But no one had seen a real human in centuries. Some even thought they were myths. "You are from Earth?" Ellerin asked again. Voss nodded once. "We don't call it that anymore." "But yes, and you came... alone." Voss turned her head toward the sky. "You asked for help, and we came. Not to rule, not to replace. Just to stop this threat." Ellerin looked around at the other leaders. She saw fear in their eyes, but Also, curiosity and maybe, just maybe, hope. You know who is attacking us? Drellner asked. We've faced them before, Voss replied. Stop them. Barely. A silence fell over the council hall. Why would you help us? Asked the Shenter elder. You don't owe us anything. Voss looked directly at the small creature. We don't help because we owe. We help because we remember what it was. Like to ask for help and hear nothing. Her words echoed through the room. Ellerin stepped forward and offered her hand. Then welcome, Commander Voss. On behalf of the Harmony Council, we accept your help. Voss took her hand and gave a small, respectful nod. Prepare your data, she said. We'll need maps, records, histories, anything you have on the missing worlds. We don't have much time. She looked toward the sky again, her eyes narrowing. They're already moving. And just like that, the humans had arrived quiet, calm, and already planning the defense of a galaxy they didn't belong to. But perhaps they belonged everywhere. The mysterious black ship hung silently above Velsari Prime, unmoving like a shadow carved into the stars. No heat came from its engines. No signals left its hull. It was as if it wasn't made of metal, but of space itself. Commander Alina. Voss and her team had arrived less than a day ago, but their presence was already being felt across the capital. The aliens in the city stared at them from a distance. Some were afraid. Others were curious. None could ignore them. The 12. Humans, all dressed in black adaptive armor, walked through the grand halls of the council building without fear or arrogance. Their helmets folded away when indoors, revealing calm faces marked by long training and quiet experience. They spoke little. They watched everything. Lair, in the high speaker of Velsari, met privately with Commander Voss in the Tower of Reflection. A tall structure made of living crystal. You did not bring an army, Ellerin said softly, watching the human commander. Only 12 of you arrived. Why? Voss looked out the glass window toward the black ship in orbit. We do not fight wars with numbers. We fight them with knowledge. You ask for help. The help we give. It's not always what others expect. Ellerin turned to her with curiosity. You speak with calm, yet you walk as if danger is already. Here Voss nodded, because it is. You just haven't seen it yet. It's in the Council's war chamber. The humans reviewed star maps and data collected from the fallen colonies. Holograms of each destroyed world floated in the air planets once full of life. How dark and silent. A Velsari technician pointed to a planet called Dorokai, once home to over 30 million peaceful beings. This is all that remains. He said, no life signs, no energy fields, only black dust covering the surface. Lieutenant Juno, one of the humans, leaned closer. No orbiting debris, no atmosphere burns, just clean erasure. That's not conquest, that's consumption. The council members looked confused. What do you mean? Drellner asked. Commander. Voss stepped forward and tapped the hologram, causing it to zoom in on a canyon filled with strange marks. Look closely, she said. These aren't natural. They're tool marks. The surface wasn't burned. It was scraped. Layer by layer. Scraped, Ellerin repeated, shocked. Voss nodded. Yes. Your worlds weren't destroyed. They were ... eaten. The chamber fell. Silent? Eaten by what? Asked the Shenter elder. We call them the Void Swarm, said Voss. They are not one creature, not one machine. They're many minds, many bodies, moving together with one goal, consume all matter and convert it. Allerin's voice trembled slightly. Why didn't you warn the galaxy before? Voss lowered her eyes. We tried, but we were alone then, just like you are now. The humans requested immediate access to all military technology, defense plans, and sensor networks. At first the council hesitated. Sharing such power was dangerous, but Voss reminded them of one truth. You sent out a cry for help. Now help has come. But help only works if you let it. Slowly the alien leaders agreed, human. Engineers got to work. In just hours, they modified Velsari defense drones to be faster and harder to detect. They adjusted shield frequencies to better resist energy-draining weapons. They even improved old orbital cannons that had not been fired in centuries. They Do more in 1 hour than we do in 1 week, said a Velsari scientist in awe. They build like they are racing time, added another. Outside the city, human soldiers trained groups of alien volunteers. They did not shout. They did not boast. They simply showed them how to survive. Don't think like a soldier, said Lieutenant Juno to a group of recruits. Think like someone who refuses to die. That's how we train back home. The Velsari, who were used to peace and soft movements, struggled at first. But as the humans patiently guided them, teaching them how to move, hide, fight, and protect, they began to learn. Fast. Soon, joint training grounds were filled with energy. Alien soldiers moved in patterns never seen before. Their minds adapted, their bodies followed. They don't command us like masters, said a young Shentor recruit. They guide us like brothers. Back in the city, Ellerin walked through the gardens with Commander Voss. Flowers of many colors bloomed beside glowing pools. For a moment, it seemed like a peaceful day. Your people are different, Ellerin said. We had no choice, Voss replied. Why do you still answer when others call for help? After all that you faced, Voss looked up at the stars, 'cause someone must. We were alone once. No one came. We remember that feeling. We don't want anyone else to know it. Ellerin nodded slowly. You fight not just to win. You fight because you care. Voss didn't answer. She didn't need to. Suddenly, alarms rang across the city. A technician's voice came through the comms unidentified energy spike near the outer moons. Something is approaching fast. Commander Voss turned calmly. It's starting. Ellerin looked worried. Do we have time to prepare? Voss gave a small smile. We always prepare. That's what Deathworlders do. Then, with her team following behind her, she returned to the command tower. The Velsari had cried for help, and the humans had answered not with loud promises, but with silent shadows and strong hands. Now, the storm was coming, and the shadows were ready. The sky above Velsari Prime darkened as the energy spike grew stronger. It was not nightfall, but something far worse, a shadow spreading through the upper atmosphere. Ships scrambled into the sky. Warning sirens echoed through the capital. Inside the command tower, Commander Alina Voss stood before a large display screen. Red lights blinked across the galaxy map. One by one, distant colonies reported strange signals. Then silence. They're hitting multiple systems at once, said Lieutenant Juno, typing quickly on the control panel. This is not a scouting run. It's a full invasion. Ellerin stepped beside Voss, her face pale but steady. What do we do? Follow the plan, Voss said firmly. The first rule of survival, don't freeze when fear comes. The words calmed Ellerin more than any speech ever could. At the outer edge of the Velsari system, the first true enemy ship appeared. It wasn't like any normal vessel. It had no engines, no bridges, no lights. It looked like a massive black insect, live and humming. Tiny drones buzzed around it like wasps. Together, they moved with purpose. Velsari defense satellites opened fire. Blue plasma bolts streaked across the darkness. Some drones were destroyed, but the swarm adapted instantly.
Ow.
Within seconds, they changed direction and speed, slipping through the defenses like water through cracks. Human-built defense grids kicked in. New targeting systems designed in just hours by human engineers helped the satellites hit more enemies. Orbital cannons roared, missiles flew. The swarm finally slowed. Still it pushed forward. They are testing us, Voss said. This is not their full force, Drelnor growled. And we must crush them now. No, Voss warned. We wait. Don't use our strongest weapons yet. Let them think we are weak. Let them come closer. Ellerin looked confused. You want them to invade? I want them to make a mistake, Voss replied. We fight better in shadows, not in space. On the planet's surface, the human-led training continued. Alien volunteers, once unsure and fearful, now moved in quick groups through simulated ruins. They carried modified weapons, lightweight, fast reloading, made to confuse swarm sensors. Lieutenant Juno watched a group of Velsari run a mock rescue drill. They're learning faster than expected, she said with pride. They had. "No choice," replied Sergeant Brand, adjusting a drone controller. "Nothing teaches faster than fear." He paused, then added, "Except pain." Juno gave him a small nod. "Let's hope they don't learn that one today." Meanwhile, in the data center, humans and Valsari worked together to study the swarm. What made it move? How did it think? Dr. Kira Monroe, the lead human scientist, stood before a 3D model of a destroyed colony. "Look at the pattern," she said, pointing to the way the swarm had scraped the land. "Oh, it didn't go for the cities first. It attacked the power stations and water systems." A Valsari engineer blinked in surprise. "That means it studies its prey before feeding." "Exactly," Kira said. "It's not just consuming, it's learning." The room fell silent. "If it learns too much about us," Kira continued, "we'll never stop it." In the capital's main plaza, fear had started to spread among civilians. Families packed their belongings. Shops closed. Some aliens wept. In silence, watching the sky, Voss saw this from the command tower. She turned to her team. "They need hope, not just defense. Go out. Talk to them. Show them we are not running." Her soldiers nodded and left in pairs. They didn't give speeches. They helped carry supplies. They repaired damaged machines. They showed calm faces and steady hands. A young Valsari girl stared at one of the humans. "Are you really from Earth?" she asked. The soldier nodded. "Is it true your world is a death world?" she whispered. He smiled gently. "Yes. But we lived." She smiled back, her fear softening. Later that night, Ellerin walked alone in the garden, trying to clear her thoughts. She found Commander Voss sitting quietly on a stone bench, sharpening a small blade. "You don't sleep?" Ellerin asked. "Not much anymore," Voss replied. They sat together in silence for a moment. Ellerin looked at the stars. "Do you miss your home?" Voss didn't look up. "Every day. But Earth taught us something important. To survive, not just as soldiers, but as people." Ellerin tilted her head. "Is that why you're not afraid of the swarm?" Voss finally looked at her. "I am afraid. We all are. But fear isn't the end. It's the beginning. On Earth, we learn to live with fear, to turn it into focus, into action." She stood and looked toward the sky. "They can come with 1,000 ships, but we won't run. We won't fall quietly. We'll make them bleed, piece by piece, until they remember the name of the world that raised us." Ellerin had never heard such a promise, and she believed it. The next day, the second wave arrived. This time, 5 large swarm vessels appeared. The black hive ships opened and poured out a new kind of drone, faster, sharper, and harder to track. But the humans were ready. The traps had been set. Fake power stations exploded in the swarm's path. Hidden mines designed by human engineers blew massive holes in the advancing lines. Mobile units led by both humans and aliens used speed and hit-and-run attacks to keep the swarm guessing. "Commander." Voss watched from the command center. "Good. They're confused. Now, strike the core." A special team of Valsari warriors, trained directly by human soldiers, flew toward the lead hive ship. They entered through a weak point and planted a fusion bomb. Within minutes, the massive vessel exploded in a brilliant white flash. Cheers erupted across the city. "We did it," shouted a Valsari pilot. But Voss only narrowed her eyes. "No, we survived the test. The real storm is still coming." Behind her, the stars blinked strangely. More enemy signals were gathering beyond the edge of known space. But now, Valsari was no longer afraid. The Deathworlders had given them something greater than weapons. They had given them courage. The black clouds over Valsari Prime had grown thicker, blocking the light of the twin suns. It was not a natural storm, but a warning, the shadow of the swarm spreading across the world's surface. Commander Alina Voss stood on the balcony of the command tower, watching distant flashes where the enemy probed the planet's defenses. Her team was ready. So were the Valsari soldiers, but she knew the real test was only beginning. "The swarm is clever," Voss said, her voice low. "They don't just attack, they learn, they adapt. and that makes them dangerous. Loren stepped beside her, her hands clenched. How do we fight something that never stops changing? We don't fight it like an army, Voss answered. We fight it like a wildfire. Fast, smart, and everywhere. Down on the ground, the training grounds were alive with energy. Groups of alien volunteers moved swiftly between obstacles, learning to think like hunters, not just defenders. Lieutenant Juno guided a group of Velsari through a series of drills. When the swarm comes, they will try to trap you. Don't get caught. Use the terrain. Use your speed. Use everything. The Velsari, once slow and cautious, moved with surprising speed and confidence near the edge of the city. A young Velsari recruit named Rala crouched behind a ruined wall. Her heart pounded, but her hands were steady. This is just practice, she told herself, but one day this will be real. She peeked over the wall and saw a small group of human soldiers moving through the ruins. Their movements were smooth, almost like a dance, silent, precise, deadly. Rala smiled. Maybe we can survive. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A distant roar echoed through the valley. From the dark forest beyond the city, massive shapes emerged, swarm creatures, large and terrifying, unlike anything the Velsari had seen before. They moved quickly, tearing through trees and rocks as if they were paper. Their bodies shimmered with black metal and strange organic parts. Their eyes glowed faintly red. Rala's squad froze. Lieutenant Juno shouted through her cum. Hold your ground. Wait for my signal. The swarm advanced. Rala's breath caught. Now, Juno ordered. The Velsari and humans fired together. Plasma bolts lit the sky. Explosions shook the earth, but the swarm was relentless. They twisted and shifted, dodging attacks and striking back with sharp claws and energy blasts. Some Velsari fell, but others fought on, driven by a new courage in the chaos. Rala saw one of the larger swarm creatures break through the line and head toward a civilian settlement nearby. No, she cried, sprinting after it. Juno noticed, and followed quickly. Rala, don't chase alone. But Rala kept running. The thought of innocent lives in danger gave her strength. She raised her weapon and fired. The swarm creature roared in pain but kept coming. Suddenly, a human soldier jumped in front of Rala, firing with calm precision. The creature stopped, stunned. By the unexpected attack, Rala blinked in surprise. The soldier's helmet folded back, revealing a kind face. Stay with me, he said. We'll stop this together. Back at the command center, Commander Voss watched the battle unfold on the screens. They're learning, she said, and that means we're teaching them. Loren joined her. You talk as if this is a lesson. In a way it is, Voss replied. Every fight teaches us something new. The swarm thinks it can win by destruction, but we will show its strength through unity. She turned to the War Council. We need to change the battlefield. Use the planet against them. Human engineers began setting traps, hidden pits, energy nets, and smoke screens designed to confuse the swarm's sensors. They moved quickly. But the Velsari also contributed ideas. Their knowledge of the terrain became a key advantage. Days passed with constant skirmishes. Each time the swarm attacked, it adapted. But the defenders adapted faster. The alien volunteers grew stronger, more confident. They moved with purpose, no longer just fighting for survival, but for their home and their future. Rala, now a leader of her squad, found herself fighting alongside Lieutenant Juno and other humans. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, she looked at the scars on her armor and smiled. We are becoming something new, she thought. At the city's edge, a large human-made fortress, Rosemobile, strong, and armed with new weapons designed to trap and destroy the swarm. Commander, Voss inspected it carefully. This is more than defense, she said. It's hope. A place where we can stand and hold. Ellerin stood beside her, and we will hold. Voss nodded firmly. We will not only hold, we will push back. The truth was clear. Velsari was learning what it meant to survive against impossible odds, and humanity was leading the way. In the final moments before the next attack, the humans and aliens stood together, united. Rala felt the weight of the moment, but no longer felt alone. She whispered to herself, "We fight not because we want to die, but because we want to live." And when the swarm came, they faced it not as strangers, but as one. The battle had slowed for now. Valsari Prime was scarred, but still standing. The swarm's attacks were less frequent, but more dangerous. Commander Elena Voss knew this was not the end, but the calm before the storm. In the quiet hours of the night, Ellerin invited Voss to the Hall of History. It was a place filled with ancient records, holographic stories, and relics from countless worlds. "We want to understand your people," Ellerin said gently. "Tell us about Earth, your home." Voss nodded and gestured to a large holoscreen. The screen lit up, showing images of a blue and green planet, full of wild landscapes, deep oceans, vast deserts, thick jungles, and towering mountains. "This is Earth," Voss said softly. "Long ago, it was a planet filled with dangers. It's not just from creatures, but from nature itself. Earth shaped us. It's made us tough." A Valsari scholar watched closely. "What kinds of dangers?" Voss smiled faintly. "Everything. Earthquakes that split the ground. Storms that could wipe out cities. Animals bigger and stronger than any alien we've met, and humans had to survive all of it." The holoscreen showed humans building shelters against storms, climbing mountains, crossing deserts. "For thousands of years," Voss continued, "we fought to live. Every day was a challenge. Sometimes we failed, but we always got up again." Elleron's eyes widened. "So your strength is not just power, it is endurance." "Yes," Voss said, "and learning. Humans are quick to adapt. When one way fails, we find another." A young Valsari child watched the images, her eyes shining. "Is that why you were called Deathworlders?" Voss nodded. "Yes, Earth was a death world. But that name means we survive where others cannot." The child smiled. "Then you are like us now." Voss looked at her and smiled. "Maybe now we fight not just for ourselves, but for all who cannot." The Hall of History fell silent. The story of Earth was not just a lesson in survival, it was a story of hope. Outside, the swarm gathered again. This time it was different. The black ships moved closer to the planet's surface, releasing more drones than ever before. The defenders prepared. This battle would decide everything. On the front lines, Rala and her squad moved through the ruins of an old city. The air was thick with dust and tension. "We fight for Valsari," Rala said quietly. "For our homes, our families, and for those who sent us hope." Lieutenant Juno nodded. "And for those who taught us to never give up." The swarm attacked. Fast. The drones struck from above and below, trying to surround the defenders. But this time, the aliens fought with new strength. They used traps set by human engineers and knowledge gained from previous battles. They moved as one, covering each other's backs. Explosions lit the sky. Screams filled the air. But the defenders held firm. Back at the command center, Commander Voss watched the battle unfold on multiple screens. She knew the swarm was changing again. It was smarter now, faster. But she also saw something new, a fire in the eyes of the Valsari and their allies. They were no longer afraid. "We are not just fighting to survive," Voss said. "We are fighting to live." Ellerin came beside her. "Your people have given us more than weapons." Voss smiled faintly. "We gave you courage." Ellerin looked out at the stars. "And with that courage, we will stand together." The swarm's attack grew stronger as the days passed, but so did the alliance. Valsari and humans fought side by side. Their bond was more than strategy, it was trust. And in the darkest hour, that trust was a light no shadow could erase. Darkness filled the skies of Valsari Prime. The swarm had arrived in full force. Countless black vessels surrounded the planet like a storm of metal and shadow. The ground trembled as enemy drones poured from the sky. But this time, Valsari did not face the threat alone. In every city, on every mountain, and in every field, humans and aliens stood side by side. Ready Commander Elena Voss stood in the command tower, eyes steady. Around her, screens showed the enemy's movement, the defenses in place, and the positions of every allied unit. "They are everywhere," said Lieutenant Juno, checking the tactical map. "Thousands of ships, millions of drones." Voss nodded. "Calmly, let them come. We are ready." On the front lines, Rala stood with her squad near the cliffside fortress built by humans. It was the last line before the capital. If the swarm passed them, the heart of Velsari would fall. But Rala no longer feared. She had trained, she had fought, and now she led others. She turned to her team. "We are not just soldiers today. We are the shield. We are the wall. And we will not fall." Her words lit a spark in the hearts of everyone around her. The battle began with a deafening roar. Enemy drones swooped in like black waves, claws outstretched, weapons charged. But the defenders didn't move in panic. They followed the strategy. Humans had taught them. Trap first, strike second, move fast, move smart. Hidden turrets activated and tore through the first wave. Electromagnetic mines disabled dozens of drones. Velsari soldiers used their home terrain with skill leading enemies into narrow canyons and tight alleys. The swarm was surprised. It had expected a weak, frightened species. Instead, it faced unity and strength. On the command channel, Voss spoke to every defender. "You are not alone. Fight smart. Stay together. And remember, we are not fighting for glory. We are fighting for life." At high orbit, the black Deathworlders ship awakened. It had stayed silent for days, but now its engines hummed. Hidden panels opened along its hull, revealing weapons no alien had ever seen. "Time to show them what a Deathworld builds," said Sergeant Brand, preparing the main weapon. The ship fired a shockwave. Cannon and energy burst that disabled enemy sensors across half the battlefield. The swarm's formations broke. They crashed into each other, confused and uncoordinated. The defenders took the chance and pressed forward. Meanwhile, Special Strike team made of elite humans and Velsari launched into orbit on a stealth shuttle. Their mission: reach the enemy's command vessel and destroy its mine core. The brain that guided the swarm's strategy. The team moved fast and silent. Inside the swarm ship, they fought strange biomechanical creatures, part machine, part living flesh. The halls were dark and wet, lit only by red warning lights. Lieutenant Juno led the charge. Blasting open the doors to the core chamber, there it was, a giant, pulsing brain-like structure inside a metal cage, surrounded by tendrils and cables. "Set the charges," she ordered. "We end this now." As they worked, the swarm attacked in waves, but the team held their ground. Humans and Velsari fought back to back, firing with calm focus. The countdown began. 10 seconds. 9. 8. The planet Rala saw the sky flash. The command ship above shook violently. Enemy drones suddenly began falling from the sky. As if confused or broken, then came the explosion. A great light filled the sky as the swarm's brain core was destroyed. The sound echoed across the valleys like a giant bell. The remaining enemy forces began to scatter. Without their guiding mind, they had no purpose. The defenders cheered. From the cities to the forests, from the space station to the command tower. Every fighter knew they had one. Commander Voss exhaled slowly, her expression soft for the first time in days. "We did it," said Ellerin, tears in her eyes. "Because of you." Voss shook her head. "No, because of all of us." She stepped outside, watching the dawn rise. For the first time in weeks, the sun was no longer blocked. Its golden light touched the world again. All across Velsari, people stood in silence, watching the sky. They had survived the storm. Now, the light had returned. Later, in the Grand Council Hall, leaders of all races gathered. Ellerin stood before them and spoke. "Today, we do not speak as many. We speak as one. We faced the greatest darkness our worlds have ever seen. But we stood together, and we won." She looked at the human team. "Let history never forget who came when we cried for help. Let it be known, the Deathworlders did not come to destroy. They came to save. The council applauded. Some bowed. Others saluted, but the humans remained quiet. Commander Voss stepped forward. "We are not heroes," she said. "We are survivors, just like you. Remember what you've learned? Stay united. Stay alert. The galaxy is not safe, but together we make it stronger." Ellerin nodded. "Will you stay?" Voss gave a small smile. "No. Others may need us, and when they call, we'll answer." She turned to her team. "Prepare for departure." The black ship rose silently. Into the sky, no fireworks, no banners, just a quiet farewell. Children waved. Soldiers stood tall. Citizens whispered stories that would become legend as the ship vanished into the stars. A new message was carved in the Tower of Unity. They came from the shadows when we had no hope. They brought fire, wisdom, and courage. They did not stay, but we will never forget. And somewhere deep in another corner of the galaxy, another cry for help would soon rise, and the Deathworlders would hear it.